inheritance, permission, and social status, it sounds like the plot of a soap opera. But this story about two lives shaped by wealth and belonging is more fascinating than any fiction could be.
You know what strikes me immediately about this tale? The stark contrast between Betsy and Foster. Two people dealt similar hands, but playing them completely differently.
That's exactly right. And at the center of it all was this incredible estate worth millions in today's money. But the real story isn't about the wealth itself. It's about how that wealth created these invisible boundaries that some people could cross and others couldn't.
Well, let's talk about Harry Kelly first. I mean, here's a bellhop who literally went from opening doors for the wealthy to walking through them himself.
And what's really fascinating about Harry is how he managed to transform himself. He went from carrying bags to managing a 119-acre estate with over 100 people under his supervision. That's quite a leap.
Though it didn't last long, did it? The way he ended up right back where he started, it's almost like a Greek tragedy.
Speaking of tragic elements, let's talk about how Betsy manipulated the narrative. The newspaper reported she would turn 28 in 1953, but we know she was born in 1926. She was literally trying to speed up time to get to her inheritance faster.
That's such a telling detail about her character. She wasn't just waiting for things to happen. She was actively shaping her story.
And you know what's really interesting? The timing of everything. The divorce from Harry Kelly and the immediate marriage to Michael Colaboletta. It was like watching a chess master making calculated moves.
It makes me wonder about the real motivations behind all these quick marriages and divorces. What was she really after?
Well, when you look at what the inheritance meant, it wasn't just money. The story talks about this kind of insulation from reality. Winters in Florida, staff who remembered your name, help living on the property. It was about buying a different kind of existence entirely.
That's such an important distinction. It wasn't about purchasing things. It was about purchasing freedom from having to think about things.
Exactly. And look at how differently Betsy and Foster approached this world. Betsy was constantly pushing boundaries, creating headlines, bending rules to breaking point. Meanwhile, Foster never even made it into the courtroom.
You know what's particularly striking? The way this story describes Betsy's life as concentrated rather than long. She packed so much drama into just 38 years.
That's right. And let's talk about those 38 years. She went through multiple marriages, court battles, inheritance disputes, and managed to remain at the center of attention throughout it all. The story says she didn't drift through life. She collided with it.
Well, that certainly explains why she left such a lasting impression, even though she died so young.
And here's what I find most compelling. The way both Betsy and Foster carried these names that were deliberately added, changed, erased. It was like they were both trying to write their own stories, just in completely different ways.
That's fascinating. How did their approaches to these names differ?
Well, Foster collected names like badges of legitimacy. Foster Wayne, James Lyon, Stoughton, Flint. Each one carefully chosen to prove something. Meanwhile, Betsy's names, Moore, Lyon, Deutsch, Kelly, Colaboletta. They were more like costume changes, each one representing a new act in her ongoing performance.
So in a way, they were both trying to belong, just using different strategies.
And that's what makes this story so relevant even today. It's not just about inheritance or social status. It's about who gets permission to exist in certain spaces and how they manage to get it.
You know, when you put it that way, it really connects to that Gatsby reference in the story. The green light across the water representing something just out of reach.
Precisely, and just like in Gatsby, the distance between East Egg and West Egg wasn't really about water or wealth. It was about access, about who belonged and who didn't.
That's what makes this story so timeless, isn't it? These same dynamics still play out today, just in different forms.
And look at how it all ended. Betsy died at 38, Michael Colaboletta at 40. Harry Kelly, years later after remarrying. It's like watching a play where all the actors exit the stage far too early.
Well, it certainly reinforces that idea of Betsy living a concentrated life. Everything happened with such intensity.
You know what's particularly poignant? The way the story ends up showing that both Betsy and Foster were ultimately shaped by the same forces, just in completely different ways. They were both trying to navigate a world that valued perception over authenticity.
That's such a powerful observation. How they were both products of a system that turned money into morality and inheritance into permission.
And in the end, that's what makes this story so compelling. It's not just about who won or lost. It's about how the game itself shapes everyone who plays it, whether they want to play or not.
So what you're saying is that the real beast wasn't any person. It was the appetite itself, the desire for belonging and legitimacy.
Exactly. And that appetite is still very much alive today. We might not have the same rigid social structures, but we still have invisible lines that some people can cross and others can't. The only difference is how we draw them